Hi everybody, I hope you've had a great weekend. Today I want to talk about a common theme that underlies many of my videos and I think for me at least was very insightful. And that is really the fundamental reason why we experience so much of the discomfort that we do. The reason is to do with how our brains are wired. The architecture in our brain is optimized to living in an ancient society hundreds of thousands of years ago where every day was a struggle of life and death, where the flora and fauna would attack you on a daily basis, where tribes might kill you, destroy your tribe, where animals were a massive threat and where disease was everywhere. In 6,000 years, humans have evolved from living in mud huts to sending people into space. This is a phenomenal rate of societal development, and in evolutionary terms, those few tens of thousands of years even is just a blink of an eye. It's not a relevant time. So what's happened? Our brains have not evolved, but our society has leapt on massively. Even the last 100 years have been huge changes. And that creates problems because you are optimized, your brain is optimized to deal with a set of scenarios that are no longer as relevant. What do I mean by this? Well, your ancestors, what they were worried about, as I said, was life and death. And that drives many of the decisions or anxieties that you feel, but they're no longer relevant. Consumerism is part of an ancient desire to hoard goods and wealth because you simply didn't have security. You needed that to maintain your position. There was no such thing as a convenience store 100,000 years ago. You were worried about other people's opinions because, as I said last week, if you were kicked out of the tribe back in the day, your ancestors would have perished, they would have died. Whereas, again, today, if someone doesn't like you, it doesn't matter as much. You are worried about potential threats everywhere because back in the day, if you mistook a stone for a lion or a lion for a stone, that could be the difference between life and death. And therefore your brain wants to see a threat everywhere because everybody who missed those threats, everybody who just thought, oh, that lion's just a stone, got eaten up and didn't survive until today. And so your brain is extremely cautious and conservative and is programmed to see threat everywhere. None of these things are relevant in the modern world, but what many of us do is we attempt to solve the problem just in front of us. We worry that our neighbours have more than us, so we think the solution is buy more. We're worried that our work isn't good enough and we might not do well in our job, and so we devote all our waking hours to that job. We are concerned that other people don't like us, so we change our personalities to suit them and do stuff that they want rather than what we want. The list goes on, and we think we're solving our problems, but we're not. This is what we call 治标不是治本. The fundamental problem behind all of this is that your brain is fooling you. It's making you think that these are solutions that will improve your life, that will solve existential threats, where no threat actually exists in the first place. And this is the important thing to remember. Your mind is inherently programmed to see threat and danger. Worry is a little bit like a gas. So you give them a bigger space, they'll just expand to fill that space. You knock one worry down, another one springs up. Your mind will see threat from today until you die, because that's how our ancestors had to live in that harsh dog-eat-dog environment. Today, it isn't that way. And so when you recognize this fundamental fact, what do you need to do? You need to quieten down the mind. You need to separate all of this nonsense thoughts that kept our ancestors alive but impede our valuable living from the real thoughts, the things that you ought to do. And that's why I recommend meditation. The ability to see beyond your thoughts, to not react to them immediately, to not react and carry around your evolutionary baggage in every action that you make is a powerful skill. And by sitting down, focusing on your breathing and watching these thoughts come and go, you can realize how ridiculous some of them genuinely are.